How could he make things clear to them in a situation like this? Besides, in this place, far from home, and without any acquaintances, where could he even go to voice his grievances? He had no choice but to hang his head and accept his bad luck as a result. That man and woman forced him to pay 20 yuan. Only then did they return his bicycle to him. That 20 yuan was the profit Yang Xinhai could make in a few days. Even men in uniforms bullied people. Before the landlady could stand up, he pinned her down under his body. The female landlord also cooperated, though she kept muttering, "No, no, you can't do this, you can't do this in reality." She let Yang Xinhai have his way amid a mix of heartbreak and lust. Yang Xinhai had his first intimate encounter with a woman afterward. Yang Xinhai got a bit worried. He was afraid the female landlord would come up with some dirty tricks to get back at him, just like those bad people he'd met before. When the project halted at the end of the year, he received a total of over $180 in wages for Yang Xinhai. This was the temporary means to make a living. Yang Xinhai used the only $180 he had to rent a civilian house in Wu First Alley in Linfeng City. The landlady was a widow in her 30s. She was kind, hearted, and always greeted people with a smile. Yang Xinhai was a young man approaching 20 years old. Having lived this long, he had never seen a woman smile. After sleeping for a while, Yang Xinhai got up and wanted to open the window of the rented room to let the cool breeze in and get some fresh air. Yang Xinhai had just opened the window when he happened to see the landlady, Miss Fang, standing outside the window with a beaming smile. This sight instantly stirred a warm, passionate impulse in Yang Xinhai, who had never been close to a woman before. He felt his face flush, and his speech became a bit stilted. "Sister-in-law." "No, no, big sister you." Hearing the strange noises in Yang Xinhai's room, she quickly knocked on the door and said that if they didn't open it, she would call 911 and have the police come to arrest them. Frightened, the two immediately stopped what they were doing. The girl thought it was his wife who had come back and angrily cursed him for being a pervert. Then she quickly put on her clothes and slipped away. The female landlady interrupted his good deed, which made Yang Xinhai extremely annoyed. "Hey, you on the bike, stop." He knew it had nothing to do with him, but still instinctively turned his head back out of habit. It turned out that a woman had fallen. The man in uniform with her was shouting at him. He stopped and asked, "What's going on?" The man in uniform got even angrier and unreasonably snapped, "What's going on? You knocked the woman down, and now you're trying to run away." Yang Xinyi knew he was far away from the woman and hadn't touched her at all, so he argued his case. When he first saw the landlady smile, an indescribable sense of warmth suddenly welled up in his heart after moving in. For some reason, he always felt as if he had a home after having a place to settle down. Yang Xinhai bought a broken-down bicycle at a second-hand market. He started a small profit business right there first. He sold green vegetables and then fruits. He would leave home early in the morning and come back very late at night. Although it was hard physical labor and he couldn't earn much money in a month, he finally found a chance to support himself here. He didn't have to listen to his old father's nagging anymore, nor the teacher's endless scolding, and he didn't have to look at the smug looks of the rich at the boarding performances. He became a free man. Yang Xinhai worked at Zikun coal mine for less than a month when he met a fellow villager on the street. The fellow villager told him, "You left home without saying goodbye." From then on, he lost all interest in the female landlady. Moreover, in a large number of his subsequent criminal activities, when looking for sexual assault targets, he had absolutely no interest in women over 30 years old. So he fished out the last bit of his emergency money, which was only about 10 yuan. From under the pillow, he took out 20 yuan from it and tried to give it to her. To his surprise, The female landlord just let out a snort and walked off without looking back. After the female landlord left, Yang Xinhai cleaned up the battlefield. He wiped what needed to be wiped and washed what needed to be washed. As soon as they entered the door, Yang Xinhai couldn't wait to push her onto the bed. The girl said that according to the rules of this line of work, he had to pay first, and then they could proceed helpless. Yang Xinhai had to hand over $25 to her after the girl put the money away. She didn't hold back any longer. They undressed. And he quickly got into the act, however. Just when they were in the heat of the moment, the female landlady came back. "Who bullied you?" As she said this, she casually sat down on the edge of the bed next to Yang Xinhai. It was the first time in Yang Xinhai's life that he'd sat so close to a woman. He could clearly smell the womanly scent on her, overwhelmed by desire. He couldn't control himself. He'd already forgotten about being bullied on the street just now, without bothering to say anything more to the landlady. He quickly closed the window he'd just opened. Then he walked to the door and shut it with a loud bang. He stopped crying and said, "Third brother, anyway. Stop running around everywhere. The harvest season is coming soon. Let's go home together. What's the use of Dad missing you and me? He doesn't even have the ability to support me through school. What's the point of missing me? You go back if you want. I just came out not long ago. I haven't had enough of working outside and don't want to go home." Seeing that Yang Xinhai couldn't be convinced right away, the second brother didn't say anything more. After a hard day's work, the money he earned was just enough to make ends meet, however. He thought that doing small business was much better than doing hard labor at the construction site if he could run this small business smoothly. Yang Xinhai probably wouldn't wander around anymore. But then something happened that really gave him a headache. It was a Sunday morning after breakfast. Yang Xinhai hopped on his bike with a fruit basket and headed to the wholesale market to buy fruits. This made Yang Xinhai feel that there were no good people in the world. No one was willing to help him. Everyone was just playing tricks on him. The world had lost its warmth for him. Yang Xinhai pushed his bicycle dejectedly and staggered back to his rented room in Wuyi Alley. He threw himself onto the bed and didn't want to get up again also, around 10 in the morning, as the sun got higher. It got hotter and hotter in the rented room. He thought as long as he left no traces at the scene, even if she tried to get back at him later, as long as he didn't admit it, she wouldn't have any evidence if she couldn't get him. It'd be her who'd end up looking bad. 2 days passed, and there was no sign that the female landlord was going to get back at him. Yang Xinhai then relaxed. Every day, after selling fruits, he'd pick out a few good ones and set them aside when no one was around. He'd quietly give them to the female landlord. Later, the silt in the reservoir was all dug out, and the weather gradually got cold. It was no longer possible to dig silt in the reservoir. So Yang Xinhai had to leave this place. Yang Xinhai, who was not content with a peaceful life, still didn't go home. He boarded the westbound train again and arrived in Limfan City, Shaanxi Province. He worked as a day laborer at a construction site of the Water Conservancy Bureau, getting about $2 a day in wages. After leaving second brother, Yang Xinhai came to Mengjin County, east of Lujiang City. With his fellow villagers, they found a job of digging fish mud at a small reservoir. The job of digging mud was still tiring, but compared to working in coal mines or pulling brick PS, it was much safer and easier, especially sitting on a small boat every day, drifting leisurely. It was quite novel. Yang Xinhai began to like this job and worked at it for several months. Your father and elder brother have been looking for you everywhere. Now your second elder brother is in Sinan County, Luoyang. He's working at a kill factory while looking for you. Come with me to see him right away with that. Without giving him a chance to refuse, he dragged Yang Xinhai to Xinan County at the kill factory. The second elder brother saw his third brother, whom he'd been missing day and night. Gradually, he developed a feeling of annoyance towards her, and couldn't resist flirting with younger women outside once. When Yang Xin-hai was selling fruits, a heavily made-up girl came to buy fruits. It was obvious at a glance that she was an escort girl. She started chatting him up, and after a few words, they agreed on a price of $25 per encounter. Yang Xin-hai returned to his rented place. Seeing that the female landlady was not home, he brought the girl back. Without a word, the man and woman snatched the bike right out of Yang Xin-hai's hands. "I've never seen so many people on this street and its alleys. Why don't we stop others? Are you saying we're deliberately being unreasonable?" Right away this riled up a lot of passers-by, who stopped to watch at that moment. Yang Xin-hai's mind went blank. All of a sudden he knew he'd run into trouble. Men in uniforms all have various law enforcement powers. He hugged him and said while crying, "Third brother, among our 4 brothers, you're the one who went to school and got an education. Dad was counting on you. Why did you quit school and run away?" Yang Xin-hai still coldly said, "Second brother, why are you crying? Since you know that Dad is counting on me when I was studying at home, how much money did you ever give me?" This single question left the second brother at a loss for words. A few days later, the second brother was going home to harvest the wheat. But he still couldn't persuade Yang Xin-hai to go back with him just then. A fellow villager invited Yang Xin-hai to go to Luoyang to work. Yang Xin-hai agreed before second brother set off. Yang Xin-hai said to him, "Second brother, once you're gone, I won't work at this brick kiln either. I'll go with my fellow villagers to Luoyang to look for work." When the 2 brothers were about to part ways, second brother tearfully bought him a pair of sneakers and gave him 10 yuan from his own wages. He also bought him a big bag of white flour steamed buns, although the things second brother gave weren't many. They showed a strong sense of brotherhood. Little did they know that this would be the last time. Second brother showed brotherly affection to Yang Xin-hai. From then on, there would be no more such opportunities. The female landlord neither refused nor thanked him. She didn't say a word. Only after Yang Xin-hai left would she quietly eat the fruits. This made Yang Xin-hai bolder and bolder every now and then. He'd pack up his fruit stand early and come back to look for chances to take advantage of the female landlord. After Yang Xin had been interacting with the female landlady for a long time, he felt that she was more than a decade older than him, almost old enough to be his mother's generation. He just bought some food for him to eat. He thought that since they were blood brothers, if they stayed together and talked slowly, he would surely be able to persuade him in the next few days. The second brother seized every opportunity to persuade Yang Xin-hai. But Yang Xin-hai always refused. He said that he didn't want to go back, and he didn't want to return to that poor and remote hometown. Moreover, he didn't want to see that good-for-nothing either. The cold-hearted vagrant in the spring of 1985. Yang Xin-hai took the 50 yuan tuition fee his father gave him and left school. Embarking on his vagrant life, he heard that there were many coal mines in Jiaosuo City, Hunan Province, and thought he could definitely find work there, so he came to Jiaosuo with his classmates from the same village. Sure enough, he found a job digging coal underground at Zikun Coal Mine in Wuxu County, Jiaosuo. However, the landlady wasn't shy at all. She asked in a very forthright manner, "Brother, why did you come back so early today?" When it came to what happened that day, Yang Xin-hai snapped back to reality. He lowered his head, let out a sigh, and said, "Don't even mention it, I got ripped off today." The landlady seemed to care extra about this young renter. She started chatting and walked into Yang Xin-hai's rented room. "Come on." To take a shortcut, he rode out of Wui Alley and turned onto a quiet little street. This street was quite narrow. and most of the nearby residents were ordinary folks, with no money or influence. People coming and going were in a hurry. Busy with their own business, Yang Xinhai pedaled his bike fast to get to the wholesale market earlier. Suddenly, he heard a rough male voice from behind.